What's up, everybody? We're back. Week 8 is here. We're ready to recap Week 7 like we always do at this time. Anything to say prior to our recap?
No.
Okay, good. I came back and beat Tags 108 to 101 thanks to 31 points from Jordan Addison. Mark Andrews had 20 on National Tight Ends Day. It wasn't National Running Back Day because Bijan Robinson had 0.3 points. Tags got 0 from Jameson Williams. Brett Maher had 1. Maher missed 2 field goals versus Steelers and an extra point. Gave the Steelers a win, but that would have gave Tagmar a loss. So I don't know what he wanted there more. I moved to 4-3. Tags moves to 2-5, and he's on the outside looking in. Jeff wins again. He beat Abbott 118 to 92. Abbott had a great day out of the Giants defense with 19. Solid from Kirk Cousins with 23. But no one else really hit their average. For Jeff, it doesn't matter. He hasn't lost. He can't lose. Abbott's 4-3. Jeff's 7-0. In the sub 100 point game of the week, it was Pat beating Palmer 98 to 87. Pat's an impressive 6-1, and Palmer falls to 4-3. Pat's Eagles did well. Jalen Hurts had 26. A.J. Brown had 26. And now Eagle James Cook had 17. And now Eagle. I don't know what that means. James Cook's not an Eagle. But that was it. Palmer with another good day from Travis Etienne. He had 21. And Jerome Ford had 19. Deshaun Watson had -2. Josh Jacobs had 4. I tried trading Pickens for Josh Jacobs, but it wasn't enough. So I'm going to keep him now, and I'm glad Tim didn't make that trade. Our next game, our very own Mark, moves to 4-3 with a 118 to 102 win over Kurt, who's now 2-5 also. Najee got 14 for his best week. Travis Kelce and Deontay Foreman both had 31. The Chargers failed for Kurt, Herbert, Eckler, and Jared Everett combined for 25. Puka Nacua tried to help with 21, but was not enough. Thanks to scoring 100, thanks to Jack scoring 100, this isn't another sub 100 game. Stu lost with 93. Mahomes dropped 40. Tyler Algier had 12 and Zeke had 9. Stu got 19 from Barkley and 18 from Amon-Ra St. Brown. Kittle checked in with 10. Jack's 3-4. Stu's 1-6. I didn't put your record in, but you're
4-3.
4-3. Yeah. And Kurt's 2-5. I did it earlier. I did put the record in. Last game saw Bribe move to 3-4 by beating Joey 119 to 105. Joey falls to 2-5. Joey saw Josh Allen drop 27 and Jamar Gibbs get 23. Brian answered with 38 from Lamar and 23 from Kamara and 16 from Cortland Sutton. Jeff scored 118.9. Mark scored 118.6. Brian got the highest score with 119.1. On our picks last week, I went. You and I were against each other in only 2 games. I went 6-0. You went 4-2. Those 2 games we were separate. Per Adam Schefter, 4 games that Taylor Swift has been in attendance. Kelce averaged 108 receiving yards a game. The games that she is not, Kelce averages 46.5. Before Monday night, there was a list of guys that hit their highs for new season high in score. Lamar Jackson, Deontay Foreman, Josh Downs, Darren Waller, Jahmyr Gibbs, Gus Edwards, Jonathan Taylor, and Dustin Hopkins. I think Addison hit as well now because he had a huge game Monday night. He had 16. He got to 31, so he did as well. So there's a pretty cool stat. Who do you think is better career? Who had a better career, CMC or Alvin Kamara?
CMC.
So CMC have 50 touches separate them, 51. McCaffrey had 1,600. Kamara had 1,660. Total scrimmage yard, McCaffrey has 9,308. Kamara has 9,326, so he has like a handful, 10 more yards. McCaffrey has 71 TDs. Kamara has 72. Their carries are similar, within 50 yards, 50 carries, 1,150 for McCaffrey, 1,200 for Kamara. Rush yards, 5,324 for McCaffrey, 5,396. So Kamara has a little bit more yards. Receptions, 468 McCaffrey, 465 Kamara. Yards, 3,984. 54 more than Kamara at 3,930. So they're pretty much right on. One has
Same player.
pretty much the same player.
She won.
I don't know, but Bry's not going to be happy with all this barking.
Braga's in Deep Creek right now.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll watch it on the way back. There's two teams that have been outgained in yardage in every single game this season. Can you name those two?
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
First one.
And I cannot name the other one.
Palmer's probably going to see them this week.
The Arizona Cardinals.
So the Arizona Cardinals are 1-6. They've been outgained by 339 yards. The Steelers are 4-2. They've been outgained by 660 yards. That's all the facts I have on the NFL today. It doesn't matter your yardage clearly because they have won
Hey, they're 4-2.
3 more games than Arizona has. Okay, let's jump into it. Are we in week 8? I was going to find out. I think the NFL trade deadline is Tuesday of next week. I'm not sure. Our deadline, like we said earlier, is around Thanksgiving, I believe. Well, first game had returned doubtful. Jack playing me. Right now he is up 19.2 to 11.5. I got 11 points out of Stephon Diggs, 9 receptions, 70 yards. Not terrible. It's a nice line, but a touchdown would have been sweet. Gabe Davis had 9 receptions, 87 yards, and that touchdown we talked about. So he's up 8 points on me. He's projected to beat me by like 9 points. So what do you see here? I got Trevor Lawrence against the Steelers, Bijan against Tennessee if his head doesn't feel too bad. Pierre Strong subbing in for Seattle. George Pickens versus Jacksonville. Andrews is playing Arizona. And then red hot Jordan Addison versus Green Bay. He's on the other side with Mahomes. Derrick Henry, who is still right now a Titan. He has Tyler Algier backing up Bijan. Devontae Smith, Deontay Johnson, who missed practice yesterday, we just found out. And Evan Ingram. It's close games. I think my Bijan and versus Algier thing will probably be the big difference maker there. And I'm assuming Pickens probably does well versus Jacksonville because he's been running his mouth a little bit. So he's either going to do really good or really bad. I'm going to take myself.
I think I'm going to go the opposite way.
But I don't love that I'm down Gabe Davis for Stephon Diggs. He has all my
You guys-
backups.
That's exactly what I was going to say. If you look at it, you have Bijan, he has Algier. You have Diggs, he has Gabe Davis. You have Pickens, he has Johnson. If Deontay is healthy and playing, which I imagine he will at this point, I hope so at least, I think it's a pretty even matchup. I think he has the quarterback advantage with Mahomes over Lawrence. And I like Derrick Henry this week as well. I'm going to go with Jack. I think it's a close one, but the fact that Gabe Davis already outscored Diggs gives him a little advantage. I'm going to go with Jack.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. All right, our next game is a big game. It's Jeff versus Pat. Jeff 7-0, Pat 6-1, the two heavyweights. Jeff's already starting out with a 25-13 lead. Jeff got 14 out of Rashard White and 11 out of Mike Evans. Mike Evans with 3 receptions for 39 yards and a touchdown.
Not 40.
Not 40. Very important. Pat got 7.8 out of James Cook. Very pedestrian, 67 yards. And 6 out of his kicker. There's a lot of back and forth with this one as well. Tua versus Mostert, both versus New England. Oh, maybe not. I thought there was... I'm sorry. Waddle. Okay, I thought there was another Dolphin. So the Tua Waddle connection versus the Mostert situation. Mike Evans already had a decent game. Olave, I'm a big fan of Olave, but he had a little run-in with the law this week, so not really sure. He looked pretty bad in the video, talking about how he plays for the Saints and he should. I don't know. It's not a good look for Olave. Hawkinson's been decent this year. McCaffrey's been great every game. We'll see what he can do against Cincinnati. The other side with Pat, Jalen Hurts against the Washington team. I think they're going to probably be trading a lot of their pass rushers, so who knows if the pass rushers try to turn it on with Chase Young and Montez Sweat, maybe trying to get a bigger new contract with the team they might be traded to. Jamar Chase versus San Fran. That's going to be a tough matchup, but you got to start Chase regardless. And A.J. Brown paired with Hurts, so they both have stacks. Pat's also running with Kareem Hunt and David Njoku, a couple of Browns. I think I'm still going to take Jeff with the Tua and McCaffrey situation, and Mike Evans scoring a touchdown is a good start.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna agree with you there. As much as I want to take Pat and be the contrarian here, I don't like the 7 points out of James Cook. I think, especially being that these are two undefeated teams, you need, or two of the top teams, division leading teams, you need more points out of your starting running back than that. Jeff didn't do much better, but he got 14 out of White, 11 out of Evans. I don't love, I don't love Njoku at tight end. He's questionable. Kareem Hunt's also questionable, although he's looked pretty good. Yeah, it looks like they both have a questionable tight end and flex in Hawkinson and Waddle. It's close. I'm going with Jeff just because he won last night, really.
I can see that. The next game's another big one. It's a rivalry game. Crumb Snatchers Tim Palmer versus Swifties Mark Sill. Take us through this game. How do you see this one playing out?
Well, I see it actually kind of being a blowout. It's pretty much a one-sided game at this point.
Just for everyone's knowledge, the projection is Palmer's projected 111.0 points. You're projected 111.3 points.
Well, two things I've learned over the years: projections are bullshit, number one, and Palmer is bullshit, number two.
A lot of people would agree with both of those.
So, Tim, he's off in Phoenix right now. He has no idea what fantasy football even is at this point. He's living his best life, hiking rocks, doing what Arizonians do. I don't think this is going to be a particular close game. If you look at his lineup at this point, I do like Travis Etienne. He's a good running back, but he's facing the Steelers this week.
Who's known for their stout run defense?
Exactly.
Okay.
Other than that, you look at the rest of his lineup. Jacoby Myers and Josh Palmer, they're maybe wide receiver 3 on most teams. Those are his 2 starting receivers. Logan Thomas, like you said, Washington seems to be a dumpster fire. Who knows what's going on there? And they're playing Philadelphia. Marquise Brown, it looks like he's trying to play his way out of Arizona with a third-string quarterback. C.J. Stroud, he's had a pretty good year so far, but with a rookie QB, you never know what you're going to get. So, out of Tim's lineup, I like one player in ETN. Josh Jacobs is okay, and that's about it.
Yeah, I like Stroud. Although he's going to go against Carolina, so he's going to go against Bryce Young, and weird things happen. I still think Stroud looks pretty good. ETN versus Steelers. I think this will be the first game this season the Steelers give up rushing yards because I know they're very good against the run, but I still see ETN.
Disagree. I think they're going to be stout against the run this week.
For the first time this year. ETN has looked fantastic the past couple weeks. I would argue to say he's probably one of the hottest running backs in fantasy football over the past 2 weeks. Not impressed with Josh Jacobs. Like you said, Jacoby Myers and Palmer. Nothing. Hollywood, it would be a fantastic number 2 on an NFL team. I like him, but I don't think the Ravens are going to let Hollywood Brown walk back in and make them look bad. His best player is Chris Godwin. He's sitting on a bench for 15. So if we look at the other side, it's no secret I'm not a Dak fan, but the Rams, as we got proven last week, their defense isn't that great. Najee, it's no secret I'm not a Najee fan, but Jacksonville, What do they have? A hope defense? Is that what I heard? So we'll see. Miles Sanders, I really don't see Miles Sanders coming back off the injury off the bye week taking over, but I wouldn't be shocked. I think where you win is DK Metcalf, even though it's a tough matchup versus Cleveland, DJ Moore, and Travis Kelce. Nico Collins, if Stroud does good, I think Collins will do good, so I am going to take you as well.
Yeah, I like my lineup this week. I actually like my bench too. I have a couple positions I was going back and forth on.
The only position I would think would be Brian Robinson, but I don't think you play him versus Philly. Debo Samuel's out. Dalvin Cook versus the Giants. He doesn't get any carries, so there's
Deontay
nothing.
Foreman had a really good game last
Deontay
week.
Foreman did look good. That was getting down to that. I was thinking even Geno, but Geno versus Cleveland, I don't think you won. I think you play the
No.
matchup with Dak. And maybe the Lions defense. You have the Jets versus the Giants. I think the Jets are the better play there. And Kadarius Toney should not be rostered at this time.
I agree.
We had that discussion a few days ago. Next game, Tagmar and Kurt. These are two teams that are both 2-5. They both desperately need a win. It's tough, and just looking, I see Tags is winning 5-0. I'm thinking, oh, cool, he had a kicker or someone go. No, he had his defense go. He started the Tampa defense versus Buffalo, which I'm not sure I would have done the same, but maybe that's why he's 2-5.
So do you think it's roster management?
I am looking at the projections. He projected to lose by 30, and I don't think it's okay. Justin Herbert versus Chicago. That should be easy. Eckler. One of those two are going to pop off this week, I believe. Pacheco versus Denver. You probably assume Denver is struggling at the end of the game in case he's winning. Maybe they run a lot. Drake London, I'm not really impressed with, but whatever. Puka, he's looking really good this year. Ferguson has been hot. T. Higgins versus San Fran. We talked about T. Higgins. That's another question mark. Well, the other side, Purdy versus Cincinnati. I don't like Purdy until he has a full complement of his team. Or is Trent Williams playing? Is Debo's not playing? Jonathan Taylor versus New Orleans. New Orleans does have a stout defense, and it's going to be tough to find yardage and Taylor splitting carries. So I don't know. Brees Hall versus Giants. Brees Hall is very talented. I would absolutely take parts of the Jets' running game, not their passing game. Tyreek Hill, he had a little hip concern earlier, but he practiced in full. Everything seems to be okay. He's playing New England. He usually does well everywhere he goes. Garrett Wilson, the receiver for the Jets. I just said I don't want the Jets pass catchers. I'll take the running back. Rashid Rice, I'm curious. Rashid Rice had a really good game. He looks like he's coming on. Is this a legitimate? He's not Tyreek Hill, but is this a legitimate number one receiver in KC that they haven't had for a while? I'm going to take Kurt based on the Chargers and Pacheco and Puka. There's four guys that all four of them could go for 30, 40 points. I don't know that Tagmart has that kind of firepower on his roster right now.
You know what? I agree. As much as I want to take Tagmeyer, after the past few weeks watching Brock Purdy, I think there is a little bit of concern at the quarterback position for him. Also, running back. I do like Brees Hall. I agree with you. But Jonathan Taylor, I'm still not sold on that him being back yet. He had a decent game, but I want to see it a couple more times before I really like him. Especially when you consider the other side. I think Eckler and Pacheco are two solid fantasy running backs. Tyreek Hill, obviously, the best receiver in the game at this point, but he's banged up. Puka, he's going against Puka, who's been great. I just like, I look for T. Higgins to also have a bounce back game. He hasn't done much this year. I think if he's going to come out and do something, maybe it's this week. Maybe it's a high-scoring game against San Francisco.
Yep. Next game. Stu, 1-6 versus Joey, 2-5. Excuse me. Joey's already up 29.7 to 0. He had Josh Allen go for 324 and 3 TDs and 1 interception. To go along with Allen, he has Jahmyr Gibbs versus Vegas. That's a pretty nice game. Stevenson versus Miami. I don't think New England's going to be in the game after the first or second quarter, so they're probably going to be throwing more than running. We'll see how that goes. Cooper Kupp versus Dallas. Kupp had a bit of a letdown versus Steelers, and Puka really shined, so I'm curious to see how that plays out. Christian Kirk versus Steelers. Christian Kirk's probably one of the most highest rated receivers this week, with the Steelers giving up so many pass yards, and Christian Kirk being the number one, clearly. Sam Laporta versus Vegas. Zay Flowers versus Arizona. A couple decent matchups. Joey had 15 points on his bench with Dalton Kincaid. So right now, Joey has Dalton Kincaid, Darren Waller, and Sam Laporta. He's carrying three tight ends at this moment. And Darren Waller had decent draft capital. So I'm just wondering. He hasn't. I mean, he could definitely use a running back, but I think everyone could.
Is he looking to make a trade?
I think everyone at 2 wins, you should be looking to make a trade.
Should be looking to doing something. He doesn't have. His roster's not bad. I think as the year goes on, his roster gets better. Jahmyr Gibbs had a good game last week, but that's his first good game of the year so far. So, and we'll see how long Montgomery's out there. Stevenson, same thing. New England running game, I'm never sold on there.
Yeah, it almost seems like Zeke took over there.
Yeah, so Josh Allen, he's had a decent year all year. I think Joey has a good team. I'd say this. If Joey, being in the division he's in, I wouldn't be surprised if his team was in the championship game.
Very well could be.
They only have
division.
2 wins.
Yeah.
But he's maybe a game out of the playoffs at this point. I think he has a solid roster. As easy as he could finish in last in his division, I think he has just as easy case to make it to the championship game.
Yeah.
So on the flip side, I like Stu's roster. For a 1-win team, this is probably my favorite roster out of any 1-win team. And if his running backs are healthy, I think he wins this week.
Yeah, Burrow versus San Fran's not great. Barkley versus Jets isn't great. Aaron Jones versus Minnesota, they've been playing pretty decent defense. He has Amon-Ra versus Vegas, Thielen versus Houston. Still rolling with Kittle. Ayuk is still there. I don't know. There's a lot of players who will start on a lot of teams. I think anybody would be happy to have had Adam Thielen or Amon-Ra St. Brown. Certainly Burrow and Barkley when healthy. So I agree. He has a really nice roster. Not great matchups this week, but I think I'm still gonna take Joey, just coming out with 30-point lead with Allen. What's Allen's average? I know he's number one, 25 points, so he's just a touch above his average. But I'm gonna roll with Joey. Who are you taking in this one?
I'm taking Stu.
Last game of the week is Bry and Abbott. 3-4 Bry versus 4-3 Abbott. Bry has Lamar at Arizona. We just talked about Kamara, how good he's doing. DeAndre Swift versus Washington. CeeDee Lamb versus the Rams. That should be pretty good. Christian Watson, I'm not crazy about Minnesota. Gus Edwards versus Arizona. He's putting his stock in the Ravens. Whereas Abbott is going to start out with Kirk Cousins versus Green Bay. Cousins is a very solid quarterback, and I don't think Green Bay's defense is all that it's cracked up to be. Pollard, who's having a bit of a disappointing season, but he looks to get right versus the Rams. Kenneth Walker versus Cleveland, that's going to be kind of tough, but he's Kenneth Walker. Devontae Adams, Keenan Allen. Again, 2 really good veteran receivers with decent matchups. Jonnu Smith with Alexander Madison. Madison is also... He's, number 20, averaging 9 points. Pollard is number 14, averaging 13.9. These are 2 guys that were supposed to fight for top 5 running backs beginning of the year. So a little bit of a letdown for Abbott. But I think based on his receiving core, he's going to take the win this week.
I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm going with Bry Guy. I've liked Bry Guy's team from the beginning of the year. He's dealt with some injuries, losing, Nick Chubb, your number 1, your first-round pick. But I still think that he has a pretty solid team all around. I'm still waiting for Christian Watson to break out. He had a great year last year. Obviously, Rodgers was there. With Rodgers gone and him being banged up, he's been, he's had a down year so far. But I wouldn't be surprised if he turns it on the second half of the year. And if he does, I think that really propels Bry Guy's team. On the flip side, Abbott has a solid team. I think Abbott's going to make the playoffs.
So I'm thinking Jeff and Abbott.
I think they're a lock.
And you're thinking Joey could be in as well.
And then I think it comes down to, well, I don't think anybody's really separate. I think it's Bry Guy, Stu. I wouldn't be surprised if Stu does, to be honest with you,
Well,
or
he better,
Joey,
yeah.
because they're only a few wins apart. At this point, I think Bry Guy is my favorite to have that number 3 spot. That being said, if I won't be surprised who takes it, but I'm saying Bry Guy is my third choice on that side.
Okay. Well, that's the preview. So it's time for the power rankings.
Well, this week's power rankings are brought to you by Jakey Crack Outdoors and our newly gifted guest.
Yeah.
Our new skunk.
Which have been driving your dog crazy. Your dog's crazy.
It smells the part. The whole basement now has a
Distinct odor.
a very skunky smell when you walk down the steps, so it is authentic. I can guarantee that.
It's not a cat.
Yeah, it definitely adds a lot to the room here. It adds, that we have the orange walls, so the black and white really helps offset it. And it was a family favorite hit, The wife and kids really loved it.
I bet they did. So speaking of Jake, we're going to do the fishing report first, and this is coming from John Hayes from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. There is a million different lakes and streams, so I'm not going to hit them all. Lake Erie and tributaries, I don't see anyone going there this week. Pymatumee Reservoir, maybe there was 2 largemouth bass, 18-inch range, were pulled from the edge of a weed mass near Jamestown. Lake Wilhelm, they got good wine. Wilhelm Winery is a good winery.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone fishes there. French Creek is what I say. French Creek. We used to swim there when we were kids. I don't know anyone that fishes there. Shenango Reservoir, whatever. Lake Arthur. This was my lake of choice. People call it the Dead Sea because there's no real fish in it. Bass took soft plastics. A 14-inch brown bullhead catfish was caught near Mount Zion Church. Connoquenessing, Ohio River. I'm assuming these guys fish the rivers. 30-inch flathead catfish took a cut bait at a night off Raccoon Creek. North Park Lake, no one cares about that. Ohio River in Allegheny County. 2 weeks below Davis Island, 3 flatheads were caught and released on separate trips. I wonder if it was the same one caught 3 times.
How do you know if you catch a different fish?
You don't. I don't know how to... Pine Creek, I've never heard of, but I don't... Whatever. And then Loyal Hannah Creek in Westmoreland County. 15-inch rainbow trout. Took a lime twister tail.
How does this guy get his information? Is
Someone
this pretty much Tags, who happens to be like a writer for the Post-Gazette, and you have, I call him and say, hey, I caught this?
I don't know if you remember back when they actually had sports pages. I would read the Post-Gazette and people would say, hey, there's a hole-in-one at Holly Hill, number 3. It was 170 yards. I don't think it's ever verified. You just tell them, hey, I got a hole-in-one, or hey, I caught a brown catfish on a yellow jig-twisted nutsack.
And we all know fishermen are
always,
liars,
every one of them.
and they're cheaters too.
Every last one of them.
Because they fill their fish with weights.
I've seen that. And other fish fillets.
So
we had the fishing update, the skunk update. Is there any Bigfoot news?
well, there is, yeah. My friend Jake and I went out on the back deck yesterday when he dropped the skunk off, and we looked as hard as we could into the woods, and we did not see a thing.
If there's nothing out there, there's nothing anywhere.
That's what I said too.
Excellent. You want to fire the power rankings off?
So, coming in at number 12, no surprise. It's a roster we just talked about, a roster I really like at this point, but the wins just don't show. Stu, he lost 1 last week. He's dropping a spot. He's coming in at number 12.
So he dropped 1 spot.
Coming at number 11, loses a 4 in a row, is the Army of Northern Virginia. This is one roster we talked about I do not like at this point. Think he has some weaknesses in the receiver department, has dealt with some injuries, and he's been fading fast. And that is Kurt.
Kurt, yep.
Coming in at number 10, we talked about him, and he's just slowly fading, is the General. He lost 2 in a row, he has the pieces I think he has the pieces, but so far this year he just hasn't been able to put anything together. Last week I think was
That was a bad
the
one.
biggest example of that. Purdy coming in Monday night against a receiver and a kicker and walking out with the loss there. I think that was a big gut punch for him. Coming in at number 9, also dropping 2 spots, losers of 2 in a row, is Cup of Joe. We talked about it. If he made the playoffs at this point, would I be surprised? No. Would I be equally surprised, though, if he was in last place by next week? No. Um, you know what? There are some decent rosters on that side of the division. For whatever reason, though, they're not winning. Maybe it's bad luck. Maybe it's mismanagement. Who knows? But Joey lost 2 in a row, so he's at 9. Coming to number 8, winning his first in 5 weeks, I believe, jumping 4 spots, is Jack, the returning champ, returned doubtful.
That's a big jump for him.
I think it is. You know
12
what?
to 8.
He started the season hot. He had a bunch of down weeks. I do like that he got Deontay back. Deontay's looked good. He still has Mahomes. Derrick Henry, if Derrick Henry gets traded to a contender like Baltimore or Dallas, I think that would really help him. Who knows? But I think, Jack has 3 wins right now, but he's in a tough division.
Very tough division.
Coming in at number 7, dropping 2 spots and losers of 2 in a row, the Crumb Snatchers. We talked about it. There are some teams at the bottom half of the power rankings, the rosters I like, but for whatever reason, they're really not performing. The Crumb Snatchers at this point, 4-3 record, but I just do not like the roster.
He fell under the playoff line right now.
He has some injuries with Justin Jefferson. Josh Jacobs hasn't been playing that great, and other than that, I see a lot of holes in that roster. And we talked about it. He was winning earlier in the year, but we said it was smoke and mirrors. I think you're starting to see that now.
It's starting to, reveal itself.
Coming in at number 6, and just on the other side of the playoff line, is SA Quarantine. Lost 1, and Matt's been kind of fighting right around this spot the entire year. He has the benefit of being in the JV division at this point. Has a decent roster, but, I don't see him really dropping that far at this point just because of, the division he's in. I also don't see him rising much more either because I don't see anyone overtaking Jeff over there.
So I see Jack moved up 4 spots and Abbott moved down 3 spots. Based on the math that's left, I think they're the 2 biggest movers of the week.
I think
very
you are
different
correct.
directions.
Yeah, I can't read my writing to see what Abbott moved down.
He moved down 3 spots.
That makes sense. So moving up and winning 2 in a row, the Rough Cats. We talked about them. It's another team in the bottom half of his division, but I think his roster's built nicely. I think in the second half of the season, Christian Watson turns it on. I also think that the Lamar we saw last week is the Lamar we're going to see more moving forward.
Not according to the guy at the bar.
And if Lamar plays like that and is an MVP candidate, I think Bry Guy's team does take that final playoff spot in the other division, and he sits atop the power rankings, or on the playoff side of the power rankings. So coming to number 4, any guesses?
I would think me because you're not going to make me jump you.
You are correct. Coming in at number 4 is Batting Lawn, moving up
2 spots.
2 spots, winners of 1 in a row. We talked about it. Strong receivers, really solid play out of Addison last week. Kind of expect that out of him and Pickens to move forward. Still need to work on that second running back, but at this
We're
point,
hoping for a Derrick Henry trade on Batting Lawn.
well, if that happens, that may move you up in the power rankings next week. We'll see. It's all fluid and unbiased.
Very fluid, very unbiased.
And what that means at number 3, the Swifties. Now, I think they're 4-1 over the last 5 weeks. The 3rd longest winning streak in the league at this point. And now with the 4-3 record, winning record, me.
You?
And then there's no change at the top. I don't think there's any surprises there.
Well, I wonder. So if Jeff wins and you win, That's an opportunity for you to jump Pat next week because he'll have 2 losses and you'll be up and he'll be down.
That is. And, remember, they're fluid. So, the longest winning streak in the league right now is who?
I don't know that offhand.
It's Jeff. He hasn't
Oh, well,
lost
yeah,
again.
Jeff is 7-0. Yeah.
The second longest winning
I
streak
thought you were
in the league?
going through yours. Yeah.
The second longest winning streak in the league is Pat.
Pat, if he was 0-1, so he's won 6 in a row.
The third longest winning streak in the league
You.
is me. So if I win and
One of them 2 lose,
then,
which they will because they play each other.
then second longest winning streak in the league. But if I lose and you win, or brag, there's
Could be anything. Got to play
So-
the games.
Pat's at 2, Jeff's at 1, no change at the top.
Yeah. Who did we pick? We both picked Jeff. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see how that works out. I don't really have anything else. This was kind of a light show this week, 35 minutes. It's tough on Fridays. I don't want to go too long on Fridays.
Well, and that's with the gameplay last night. You see the scoring.
Yeah.
It kind of
It takes
influences how you make your picks,
Yeah.
how you project things, and also all the free agents were picked yesterday. So
Yeah, who was the big free agent for Abbott?
Darrell Henderson.
Darrell Henderson at $30-some and a couple $5 guys, some defenses and kickers. Nothing groundbreaking outside of Henderson. I don't know that I love Henderson for that kind of money, but we'll see what happens. I don't know how long Kyron Williams is out.
I know I want to take this mustache off.
Well, that'll wrap it up then. Anything else?
That's all I got.
Next week. We'll see. Halloween's Tuesday. What are you giving out?
I got candy upstairs.
Actual candy?
Yes.
What kind, any kind? Or
Candy bars. I don't know. There's a whole variety.
Good. I'm going to raid those before I leave. See you next week.
Adios.